So, I think today, I was digging through I have a drawer in my toolbox over here, full of my air tools and crap. It's just kind of a mess, and this is really not even a quarter of them. Like all my impact guns and stuff are in another drawer over there. So I was thinking I could just buy some angle iron, but that would involve me having to go to the store and do all that stuff, or I could order an air compressor tool holder. But all the ones that I can find are all like little dinky 12-inch wide kind of deals, or expensive. And I don't need anything fancy. I just want something with slots cut that I can slide this onto, just to hang like my air filler things and maybe the guns. I don't know, I might leave the guns in the cabinet, but as long as I can have everything out and accessible and just over by the air compressor, I think that'd be kind of nice. So I've got this big sheet of, I don't know what it is, it's pretty thin stuff, maybe, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch. I'll grab my calipers in a second and check, but probably 1/16 of an inch or so. And it also gives me an excuse to test out my plasma cutter. Hopefully the plasma cutter cuts clean. We're gonna bank on that. But yeah, angle iron would be super nice if I had some flip. So I 3D printed this thing a long time ago. It's just a little, goes in your vise. And I used it already once when I first made it. Still have all my sprinkler crap out, and broken chainsaw. I used it once on the lathe. I'll take you over and show you what I bent up over there. So I made this thing a while back, and well, now that I'm looking at it, I thought this was the same material. This is looking thinner. But yeah, I bent it here, and I just have the lock nuts on the Gibbs screws holding it on. And then there's my little oiler. There's a screw up here and a screw back here, and those are holding the DRO scale. And then this little section here is just a little flap guard thing to keep chips from getting stuck under the DRO scale, which you can kind of see back there. Which, if you don't have a DRO, man, you are missing out. These things are so cheap nowadays that everybody should have a DRO. And even with my less than ideal mounting, it's super accurate. Like, there's no machine surfaces on these older machines. So here's the bed. And I just used some washers to space it out and get it kind of as even as I could. But yeah, it works. It works really well. This is just an eBay Kexon KXB 3MS. It's got 3-axis. I only have 2-axis hooked up. Yeah, if I had some more of this angle, like I did up here, this is just a piece of angle iron holding all of my mill tools on. But yeah, this would be perfect. This 1/8 inch 2x2. And then the other thing I bent up was this thing. So I did cut and weld the outside edges, but I mean, it's bent down there, it's bent here and here, just a little. But that little press bender thingy works pretty well. Obviously the bigger stuff you have to do in a big vise. As long as you're only doing is deep enough that it fits down in the throat of your vise, you're golden. But yeah, surprisingly, that plastic 3D printed held up perfectly fine. It has it's mainly compressive forces, so it holds up pretty well. I didn't look too hard down here for angle iron. And now that I'm noticing that I used that aluminum angle iron for my mill tools, kind of think I should have some more angle iron left over. Or like if I had some more of this stuff, but I don't. I don't know. Ever since we moved, it's gotten hard to find stuff. Surprisingly. Not surprisingly. But yeah, now I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna dig through a little bit more and see if I can find if I had any leftover pieces, because at some point I did have some angle iron. Yeah, so this is all I can find, and I don't want to use this for an air tool holder. This is, I think, pretty expensive stuff. Well, it was $25 apparently. Yeah, this is 3x3 by 1/4 inch. 40 inches long. Yeah, I mean, $25 for an air tool holder. And then these are the DRO guards. They're way too thin. They'd be way too flimsy, I think, once they're notched out. And I got some big giant chunks of cast iron, because I was gonna make a big straight edge and scrape it in, but yeah, no, never did. I don't remember why I bought the round bar. I think I was gonna make something for my old mill. My old mill had a round column. I think I was gonna do something with this for that, but I didn't. And now I just got some big giant chunk of freaking cast iron. So yeah, that's cool. All right, so I'm set up over here. I got it clamped down to an old Craftsman lathe bed. You can kind of see it down there. It's an old metal lathe that was left outside to rot by somebody, and I took all the parts I needed to fix up my old lathe, and hopefully it didn't stop recording. Got a low battery notification. But anyway, so clamped down to a lathe bed. Nothing's gonna hit the lathe. I was planning on using it to make something. Figured you could make something kind of cool out of an old lathe bed. But I've got it set up so it's gonna cut about a 5-inch strip. And then I'm gonna bend it probably 1.5 inches down. And then the short end will mount to the wall. The long end I'll cut my notches into. So yeah, let me go bust out the plasma cutter and we can try out the new air compressor. It's exciting. So that's where I want to mount it, just right under that hose reel. So this is all I have for right now for an air dryer and filter for the plasma cutter. This is just what I had laying around. I did put this in my, it's called a filament dryer for 3D printing. You gotta dry, the plastic that it prints with has to be really dry. So I stuck the desiccant in the dryer, and blue or purple means that it is good to go. And then this is just a water oil separator deal. So I'm gonna use this thing. All right, so I've got the machine set at about 20 amps. I think it was like 30 or 40 PSI, somewhere in there. And I'm just gonna nip off this little corner here and see what it does. Oh, neato. Oh, you guys didn't even see that. Whoops. Well, there's the little corner. Let me readjust the cam camera here. And we'll zoom in. Zoom and enhance. Alright. We didn't cut it all the way off, so I'm not sure if I need to start like off the edge or what. Nice. That was a pretty good cut. Let's zoom you in a little more there. Take a gander. So, kind of free-handed it, and I kind of got snagged on that first cut. So it kind of sat for a second in a couple little spots. But otherwise, it looks like not a whole lot of slag on bottom. Let's see how hot it is. It's pretty hot. There's the bottom. There's a little bit of slag, but nothing too crazy. There's my finger for scale. I don't feel it nearly as much on this side though. It's mainly seems like on this side. Look at the tip. Tip is still looking pretty good. I'm not sure like what that means for my settings. Like, can somebody kind of enlighten me on? I guess depending on how fast you're going, how fast you're moving, your air pressure, your voltage, all that stuff plays a role. But based on like the chart that the plasma cutter came with, it was saying like for 200 thou to do about 20 amps and 30 to 40 psi. And it didn't say what to do for like this. This is like maybe a 1/16 of an inch, so what, 67 thousandths of an inch? Should I go even lower than 20 amps? I guess I'll try it. I'll just take it down to 15 amps and we'll see what it does. Alright, so here is 15 amps. I'm going to try to just go kind of smooth right across. It didn't light. Let's try that again. It's supposed to be able to start without having to touch the metal. That's kind of why I got it, so I could use it on CNC. Oh, there we go. So I started off a little fast, and then I tried to slow down the second half. It's kind of hard though. Let's see. I think that was more slag. I can't really tell. I got my gardening pliers out here. So I think my come on. I think my first cut was that clean one, and my second cut is that really slaggy one. Let me see if I can kind of match it. Yeah, so 20 amps was quite a bit cleaner. So I'm going to take it back up to 20 amps, and I think we'll just go with that. Alright, so I've done a couple of just kind of dry runs just to make sure everything is good, nothing's in the way. I had to move this this clamp on the left because it was hitting. But I think we're good to go. I'm just going to start right down here. And that's kind of hard to do because it kind of catches and breaks and catches. It looks like I skipped over a spot there, and the rest looks pretty good. So I wonder if this is a bad idea to try it again. still pretty solid right there too. And right here. And right here. There it goes. Man, that is so much nicer than a grinder. Freaking grinding sucks. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little warm, but let's take a gander at it. So, very, very nice cut. Holy cow, I can't even believe that. This is the top side, and you guys are way zoomed in, as you can see my finger right here. But hardly any slag, and whatever slag there is, like wipes off. And then the bottom side, this is where the slag should be. I mean, that's pretty dang good. So there's the slag, and it just breaks right off. So I do think that I'm gonna try to make some sort of jig to cut out our notches, and I'm gonna definitely do it with the plasma cutter. Plasma table would be super nice. This would be like the ideal project for a plasma table, but you know, beggars can't be choosers, and lazy people can't get much done. So at some point, someday, I'm gonna build that thing. I've got literally like all the linear rails and all the ball screws and all the steppers and drivers and the control board. All I need is the steel, so a bunch of angle iron and a bunch of flat plate, and we'll be good to go. But yeah, pretty stoked about this. Like that's some nice cuts there. All right, so I've kind of determined that I need something with a slot that's about 1.14 inches, and that should take into account the kerf from the plasma cutter. That's the amount that it cuts out of the steel, because it doesn't just cut like scissors. It melts a strip out of the metal. So it should be about 1.14. This socket is about 1.1. So I'm gonna take this little bit of 3/16 inch steel, and I'm gonna try to bend just a loop, or not a loop, but kind of like a U shape. And then I will maybe weld something off the bottom of the U that I can use to clamp. Yeah, I think that'll work, as long as I can bend this thing. It needs to be kind of a tight bend. Oh, let's see what we can do here. Yeah, it looks kind of like it might be working. I might need to grab a clamp, because it's kind of trying to do like a V. It's not staying. I'm trying to pull while I bend. Does that look? Yeah, see, it's not really perfectly straight right there. That might work right there. I'll take in, kind of measure. Needs to be 1.14. We'll do 1.138. And yeah, we're pretty loose there. Probably would have helped to just get this rod hot right where I was bending, but that ship has sailed. Give her a little clampy clamp. It's gotta go quite a ways. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of work this until I get it down where it needs to be. And I'll bring you back. Just gonna keep squeezing it in the vise until we're there. Been listening to the Donald Trump. He just got shot at today somewhere, which is freaking nuts. So this just happened a few minutes ago. So Trump will probably still do rallies, but they're gonna use this as a way to keep Biden out of the public's eye. Anyways, back to our bending here. Got her pretty dang close. I kind of overshot it a little bit, and then I'll kind of bend her back in where she needs to be. And it's a little bit springy, so I think as long as I kind of go gently, it won't spring out too much while I'm cutting it. Now we need to go a little further down at the big end. If I hold the socket there. But, oh yeah, so anyways, I'll bring it back when I get it. I'm almost there. Alright, I think I got her. It's on this piece of bar, which is 1.26, so 15 thou undersize, and I've got just a touch of wiggle room all the way up. So I think the plan is I'll lop it off here, and then I'll weld something off of this so that I can use that to clamp this to the plate. And you know, that should work like a charm, maybe. And if not, you know, I just wasted a bunch of time, and what do you do? Alright, so I think I'm just gonna do a little trial run here. I just welded this bar on, and I'm just gonna go swoop, swoop, just like that. Make sure this thing will fit. Lovely. And we're a little snug. A little snug. Uh-oh. Can't tell if it's just scale. Yeah, it looks like more than just scale. Like it fits, but I kind of gotta force it. Alright, let's see. I don't want to cut into the metal at all. I just want to knock the scale off, just so I can be sure that it's just scale and not the... It's a pretty clean cut. I can see the scale, and it's poking out quite a bit. Yeah, everywhere that I can see the scale poking out, so I think I am on size. It's just the scale. And that'll come off with a grinder, I think, just fine. I'll have to go over it with like either a wire wheel or just a flat disc. So yeah, I think this is golden. We're gonna go for it just like this. All right, so I've got the thingy clamped onto the other thingy. I went through and marked every 1.1 inch, and I'm gonna line each mark up right inside of there, and that should leave me about 1 inch in between each slot. And then down on the other half, I did that for the first half, and then the second half I did about 1.5 inches. So I'm just gonna have to cut move it over 1.125", cut, move it over, blah, 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 all the way down. It's gonna take a little while, but I'll do the first one right now, and then I'll probably stick you on fast forward. So, yep, let's see how we do. Beautiful. Looks like we got a lot of slag up at the right at the start. But yeah, this is fitting just fine, other than where that slag is. So once I get a grinder going and we knock off the slag, I think it'll be fine. Well, worked like a charm. That's pretty much it. So these are spaced a little bit further, these are a little bit closer. The only problem I had, so the guide on this thing is only on the sides or the bottom, either one. You can rotate it around wherever you want, but I chose to have those metal guides right there on the side so that I could slide them along the side of my little jig here. But once you got to the bottom, it's kind of a abrupt stop. It doesn't really flow like a U. It gets to the bottom and stops, and then you have to like kind of jerk it. So I couldn't really ever get it to go smoothly, so it ended up with kind of a weird, instead of a U, it's more of a V. But doesn't matter. It's gonna hold these all the same. It should be fine. So next step, I want to get kind of just like a little bit of a lip bent, just so stuff can't slide out of there. I also have to grind it, and then we're gonna work on trying to get this bend done. And if I can't do it with my little bendy 3D printed jig, I will score it and bend it that way, score it with a grinder. Because yeah, this is going to be a little bit tough with how wide it is. I'll have to keep kind of going back and forth and bending it a little more, a little more, a little more. It probably can be done, so we are going to try. But so there wasn't very much slag, but holy hell, that slag is hard. So I beat the hell out of it. On this bottom side here to get it all off, and there's like still chunks in there that I couldn't get with the flap disc, so I'm going to take my just a hand file to knock off inside. Let's see, so yeah, like it's just, yeah, that crap. I beat it all off with a hammer and a chisel, and then I ground it with the flap disc, but yeah, still I couldn't get in there to get into those grooves down in there. It's kind of where I beat the hell out of it. I thought I would try just whacking it with the hammer, you know, and no, you gotta get a chisel, come in at it at an angle. Otherwise it's just really hard. So yep, gonna hit with the file, make sure that the fitting fits into all the slots just right, and then we'll bend it. We're looking pretty good. Goes right on in, no problem at all. And it took forever. Not really, I just I filed it as if I was lightly deburring it. So I just did a pass like that, did a pass like that, and then same thing from the other side, like that, and like that. And that seems to have knocked all the rest of the slag off. So we're looking good. Just need to attempt to bend it. This will be the exciting part, where we either screw it all up or have a cool looking bent air tool holder thing. I'm trying to figure out the best place to put the camera, and this, I mean, seems to be about the best I can do. So I scribed a line where I want to try to bend it, and I'm just going to start on one end. I'm going to put this right in the line, or I mean it's kind of hard to see that line. Yeah, it's very hard to see that line. I'm gonna grab a Sharpie just so I can darken it up a little. Got her a little bit darker. And let's see how she does. So you can't really go too much until you move it each time. I'm just trying to line up right on the Sharpie line. You just kind of force her into shape. So we did get a little bit of bend there. So we'll loosen it up. And you can see that. It's a nice little bend. We'll loosen it up, slide her down a little bit. And we'll go about halfway into the bend we just made. And the other half on the unbent side. Pretty self-explanatory. You just don't want to go and push it too hard, because then you'll just break your little jig. But yeah, I did push it pretty dang hard on that just now, and she didn't break. I'm just going a couple inches at a time. So these are, I think, this might be a 5-inch block even, because this vise is only 3. Once you get the initial little bit of bend figured out, or all the way across, it's a lot easier to go back and forth and finish bending it to the final 90 degrees. It's just I have to try to line it up in the bend and then on the marker, and that creates kind of a effect where the plate can sit further in on this side, and then it has to sit further out on this side, so it's hard to line it up. It might be a little easier to just take these bigger bites on this first little bit of bending. It's easier to get it lined up on the line than trying to get half of it lined up and the other half not lined up. And then we'll go a little bit further this time. Take her out and give her a once over where we're at. I mean, it's bending it pretty dang well. That's a pretty tight radius too. So, yep, we'll just head right on back down. And now it'll kind of help you self-align as you go. Yeah, it's kind of unwieldy with all that hanging off of the end. We're getting her one step at a time. A little bit closer. Say we're at about, I don't know, 60 degrees or so. Yeah, just a little bit more. And she'll be done. But just to give you all an idea how thick this is, I don't think I ever mentioned. So it's about 66 thousandths. what is that, 1/16 probably supposed to be. What is that in millimeters? 1.54 millimeters, which that's pretty thick bit of steel for a 3D printed bending dies, I think. I guess actually this says 87 degrees, so this is probably an 87-degree turn or bend right there, so that you can go just past 90 so that you can get a full 90-degree bend. I didn't design this, it was just on probably Thingiverse or GrabCAD maybe. I'm not really sure. So after this round of bends, I'll go through it one more time and crank it all the way in. And that should give us a 90-degree bend. But yeah, how crazy is that? We had another president shot at. I guess one of the people in the stands got hit, so that kind of sucks. He died. Or actually, a couple got hit, one died. They're already talking about how nobody should have guns and all that crap. Everybody should have guns. Everybody should carry their guns so that everybody who is thinking they are going to use their gun has to think twice, knowing that everybody else has a gun. That's what I think. See, so it is looking like it's just past 90 degrees. Maybe. I don't know. Why does it look like it's bent more on this end than it is on this end? Let's see. Yeah, it looks like we bent it more on this end. Huh. May have to run it through one more pass. I don't know why it would have bent more. I feel like I did even pressure all the way. And I wouldn't mind it being steeper than 90 degrees. That way when there's some weight on it and it flexes, it'll even it out. Really wrenching on it. How do we do? It looks a little bit better. It's still, I don't know if it may just be that I'm not bent perfectly on my line. So if there's any wobble in it, it really can I don't know, make it look wavy, I guess. But yeah, it looks good from just looking at it head on. I do want to kind of bend just a little bit of a lip on all those. Yeah, this will be a little more tricky because I need to try and bend it equally all the way across without having like a reference. Like I won't be able to just go until the bottom's out. I just want it bent just a little bit. And I also want it to be right on the line. About there, maybe. So I'm gonna try to remember about where the handle is. It's about a 45 degree. Let's see what that looks like. Oh yeah, that's good. Good enough. Probably be a little more, but what do you do? All right, there we go. Got some little tabbies to hold it up. I went a little heavy on this side, a little light on this side. What do you do? I could dick with it all day and get it perfect, but I think we're looking dang good. So, that's it, man. Sweet. Now I can hang all my little air tools off of this thing, like so. And like so. Can you see those? All my little blowers and my air gauges, air pump uppers, and then I'll get some like my die grinders, the ones that I use a little more often. My impact, I don't ever use those. I got a 3/8 and a 1/2 inch and a 3/4. I don't know, the big giant one. And I don't ever use those because I have a Milwaukee 18 volt that, I mean, it does just as well as, it's on par with the 3/4. Here's what the sockets look like. That's a 2.5 incher. It's gotta be, it's 3/4, right? It's not 1 inch. Yeah, it's for my 3/4. But yeah, that's the old 3D printed bendy deal. I've got little magnets glued in there, but they don't hold on my vise very well at all. So I have double-sided sticky tape just holding this one on, because this one's front heavy, it falls over. This one kind of stays. It could use some stronger magnets. There's 6 of these little tiny magnets, neodymium magnets. But it doesn't look broken or anything anywhere. Same with this one. So there's the double-sided tape I was talking about. Peel it off because we done. And then, yeah, I don't see any cracks or anything. Looks like when we printed it, had a little bit of a layer shift there. This was, oh yeah, it warped a little. So this, I'm pretty sure I did ABS. Mainly because I bought like a, what is it? There's 1 kilogram rolls. And then the next size up, I think it's 5. Anyways, I found one of those at the Lost Mail store. We have a Lost Mail store where your lost mail goes and they sell it. I found a big old roll of ABS and I printed all sorts of stuff out of it because I had a boatload of it. So I did solid infill. It looks like I did a lot of walls. I printed it in this orientation, so it went upwards. That way, all the strength is there in the compression. I don't know that it really would have mattered, but this is the ideal way to print it standing up. Same with this one. And then they just kind of fit together like so. If you can maybe see that, yeah. Yeah, cool. Worked like a champ on 16th inch steel. I don't ever paint anything, nothing rusts here in Utah. We do not have a rust problem like some other states where if you don't oil your mill down, it'll be rusty the next day. We don't have that here in Utah. Like you can see my chip pan for my mill. Didn't paint that. Just been bare still for the last, I don't know, forever. Been a long time. Same with my big giant welding table. Could have bought that thing for probably 20 bucks on Amazon or something if I would have looked hard enough. I couldn't find a big one, but you know, I wasted half a Saturday building this one, so super fun. All right, so I went to go hang the compressor tool holder thing, and for some reason I thought it was bigger, but it's only 30 inches wide. so I can't quite span 3 studs. So I'm gonna hit 2 studs, and then the third one is gonna be a couple inches shy, because my thing's only 30 inches, studs are 16 on center. So it would have needed to be about 32 inches. And what I'm gonna use, for the 2 that are gonna hit studs, I'm just gonna use a regular one of these screws. And for the one that's not gonna hit a stud, I think I'm gonna use just a toggle bolt. These are by far the best drywall anchors you can get. So what you do is you either pre-drill a hole, or you can just jab this in through the drywall. And once you get it through the hole, it's a 1/2 inch hole. They make all different sizes of these. You twist this sideways, so boop, and then you slide this down. This is like a zip tie, and it locks in. And then you can just break these tabs off, and that holds this behind the drywall for you. So then your screw will just go through that hole and then through this threaded hole. And yeah, if you need to hang something and you can't hit a stud and it needs to hold a lot of weight, this is the way to go. Another option are these things. These are pretty similar, a little bit easier to install. You can just stick them right on your drill and drill a hole. And once they're in, oh, this one's not threaded, but most of them are threaded up here. They got a big drywall thread, kind of like a drywall anchor screw thing. But this one looks like you just pound in, and then you'll take your screw and it'll go right into that hole. And as you screw it, it'll push that little T thing sideways there, like so. And then you can just screw that in, and it'll suck this and clamp the drywall in between the face and this. These are your second best option behind toggle bolts. And then you've got your regular drywall anchors that don't work at all for really anything. Maybe hanging paintings and stuff, those are fine, but you can also just use a nail for paintings or pictures or whatever. And one other thing about these toggle bolts, like this one and the other one, is they're reusable. So you can pull the screw out and stick it right back in, and this thing is gonna stay put. It won't move around. Same with the other toggle bolt. All right, just to show you how easy these things are to put in. All you gotta do, stick it, this is just a Phillips, stick it right on the hole there. And give her a nice little spin. And then once it goes through, so I just punched a hole through it, just drilled a hole. You're gonna go, oh, one other thing you kind of want to look out for. So it's got these arrows on it, and that shows you which way the T goes out. So if you're like right on the edge of a stud, your T, you're gonna want to line it straight up and down. Anywhere, if you're in the middle between 2 studs like I am, it doesn't really matter. But that's what those arrows are there for. So then you just screw it in. She's locked in. Now you can take your screw, slam it in there, and good to go. So every once in a while you run into one that just doesn't want to go. And in that case, usually you just have to pull it out, throw a new one in. Like the threads for some reason just won't line up, something like that happens. Let's see. Looks like this one's gonna go, yeah. And it's just that easy. And then these other 2 screws are just going into studs, so I'm just gonna slam those in real quick. There you have it. Got just my die grinders and air ratchets up there. I could probably fit an impact, but honestly I never use them. I only use my electric ones now. And then I've got all my, you know, those air tools. So I've got one for Presto valve for mountain bikes, and then regular air chuck, a couple more air chucks, pumper upper, blower offer, ball blower upper, and then these two air blower upper blowers. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything's stuffed all in this one corner. And then air compressor's working good. The only thing is this line, I don't know, maybe both of them get really, really hot. Just like fill the tank up once, maybe a minute or two, and it is really hot. I touched my arm to it right there yesterday and just barely even grazed it, and you could hear it sizzle because I reached down to shut it off, and yeah, burned the bejeebas out of my wrist. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of compressors you'll see have like the cooling fins all the way down the lines. My old one and this one don't, but I have another, just a little Husky from Home Depot compressor, and it does. So I'm wondering if maybe I need to find some cooling fins for 1/4 inch and 3/8, or maybe it's just fine. The lines I took off were aluminum, and aluminum I think displaces heat better. I don't know, both are really good conductors of heat, copper and aluminum, so I don't know. But for now, I mean, everything's working fine. It's not gonna, there's nothing that can melt. I mean, everything is metal. There's no plastic that can melt, other than this cover that's next to it. But it's got quite a bit of room there. But yeah, other than that, it's worked pretty good. Stay tuned for someday when I finish editing the video on this thing. It was my $50 compressor I bought, but she's working good. Repainted it all, rebuilt everything. Well, didn't really rebuild anything, but we took the whole pump apart, inspected everything, and everything was golden, so threw it back together. She's working like a champ. All right, see you later.